We are all ordinary fathers, and today I'm speaking with an ordinary father. His name is Josh Ng. Welcome, Josh, and thank you for taking the time to have this conversation with me.
Hi, Parksen. It's a pleasure to be with you in this chat. Really appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Well, maybe you'd like to tell the people listening and watching a little bit more about yourself. What do you do? How many kids you have, and how old they are?
Okay, I'm a clinical certified sleep technologist. I basically help people with this disorder called sleep apnea, which affects 1 in 3 Singaporeans. I'm currently a dad to one child. He is 2 years and 6 months old, toddler by now. Yeah.
Okay, so quite a new dad,
Yes, very,
relatively
very.
speaking.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me take you back to 2 years plus ago when you first became a father. Can you still remember what went through your mind? What were the feelings that you were experiencing?
I think being a first time dad was very new thing for me. For me, I'm like the youngest child in the family, and so I've never taken care of any, I guess, younger siblings before. I did have some pets at some point, but basically having a child was a really new encounter for me. Fortunately, my wife, she has a preschool teaching background, so she has more experience with kids, and she really loves kids. Yeah, so basically, our son is an IVF baby. So we actually tried for 8 years. We had been married for 10 years at that point, and we tried for 8 years, and at that point still no baby, and so we actually, I guess we felt prompted lah to try IVF, and we actually were successful on our first try. Yeah, so we were quite fortunate in that. When in the lead up to baby being born, I wouldn't say I felt anxious, but I knew that it's going to be a big life change. For me in those days, I guess um, I wanted to walk with my wife to give her the wish that she had, which is to bear a child. Yeah, so it's something that I really wanted to help her with. Yeah, so when baby was first born, it was a moment of tenderness, and also I would say from a professional point of view, because I was a full-time employee in those days, having a child is also quite a challenge in the sense that your colleagues need to be understanding. Yeah, and then if they're not understanding, or worse, if they actively know that this is a so-called weak moment in your life, like you're going to have to take hours away, you're not going to be able to concentrate well, as in the past, to like do your work and stuff, because you need to go and take care of baby. Yeah, so it kind of like was a confluence of factors for me now. It's joy on one hand, and then there's challenge on the other hand, trying to like keep my job, etc. Yeah,
Mm.
so yeah, in fact, people, I must be very honest with you lah. Like people actually probably bullied me lah in those days. Like, when I have a child, like they don't understand, especially those folks who are men from the older generation. And like there was one
Mm.
one gentleman
Okay.
who I asked him, did you how was your experience when your child came into the world? And he said, oh, actually my wife
Mm.
just take care of everything.
Okay. Well, congratulations on finally having a child. And I'm sure both of you were very, very happy. And hearing from you, your wife really wanted to have a child. So now you
Mm,
have it.
yeah.
So after being a father for over 2 years, well, how will you answer this question? What is fatherhood all about?
Wow. Okay, I don't think it can be answered simply. I think it's different phases, like as your child is going through different phases, you are also, walking your child through those different phases. I guess I'm still learning, and will continue to walk with my child, but I think in the first 6 months, maybe even up to a year, I would summarize it as keep your child alive. Yeah. So like
Survival mode, yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like make sure they don't fall, make sure that they, have their meal, they have their milk, make sure they have their nappy changed. Yeah. So
Mm.
I guess yeah, if you want the lowest baseline, then it's yeah, keep this new life alive. And then eventually now we're walking towards, teaching a child basic life skills like, how to feed himself, how to um behave, how to socialize, how to make friends, uh, both
Mm.
getting along with grown-ups and also with other children. I think that's very, very important. Probably the most important skill of them all. Then, of course, there's early years things like literacy, being able to uh, you know be able to listen well and to be able to respond and speak reasonably well. Sure.
So would you say that fatherhood turned out to be what you expected, more or less than what you expected?
Well, I think I didn't really know what to expect. So
Mm.
yeah, I guess before you're a
Af-
parent.
A lot of people have done it, right? So you say, oh, it shouldn't be that difficult.
And I think one of the challenges is that you don't really know what goes on behind closed doors, for other parents.
Mm.
I mean, we do have a little bit of insight here and there. Like I'm a Christian, so I'm in like cell groups. So like we do see, go into our friends' homes, cell group leaders' homes, and we do see how they take care of their kids, how they raise their kids. Yeah, so we do get little glimpses, but of course we're not there, 100% of the time. Yeah, so
Mm.
I don't know what I expected. I only knew that the first 6 months would be tiring, which turned out to be true. Yeah, I probably lost a lot of sleep. Um, and I did hear also this saying that after about the 8 month mark, things tend to get better. For me, I would say around the 2 year mark, things really started to get better because I could understand my child and my child could also understand me. So when you're able to verbally communicate, I think that makes a real difference. Like
Yeah, it's a
before,
different dynamic, right, in the
mm,
relationship.
yeah, like before the 2 year mark, I felt that my wife was really the one who can really nurture. And then now after the 2 year mark, I find that, when I carry or when I talk to my child and I sort of explain the world to him, he does really understand me quite a bit more. And I do feel that sense that I'm able to guide him through, you know, um, the new things that he's encountering and the
Mm.
world that we live in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very common thing I hear from fathers. I think that was exactly how I felt too, right? I mean, with the infant, the guys, the fathers usually how they felt was, how do I have a conversation with this
Hmm.
being?
Right.
I talk, but this child cannot talk back to me. So how do I communicate?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a very, very common sentiment. So
Okay.
join, welcome to the club.
Wow. I'm very heartened to hear. Very glad to hear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but in today's parenting workshop, what I've learned and what I'm telling parents, especially new fathers, is that keep
Okay.
talking, because one of the benefits for children's development
Hmm.
that comes from involved fatherhood is that their language development actually goes faster than those whose fathers don't talk to the child. And
Mm.
I'm talking from day one, not
Okay.
just after any particular age, but from day one, from infancy and all that, because
Okay.
the child's brain is like a sponge. The more they hear, the more they remember, the
Right.
more they're able to articulate when they're ready to do so. Let's talk about working parenting as a team, right? Because you and your wife, you form a parenting team to raise this precious child. How has it been like working together as a team?
Wow. This is a very big question. I wish that I could get my wife here to answer, so because probably she will offer a better answer than me.
What would she say?
I think actually I don't know what she would say, Okay, let me see what I would summarize. Um I think being a team is most importantly the ability to take a break. So like when my wife has spent a lot of time with our boy, after about 4, 5, maybe 6 hours, I would definitely note that she is starting to feel and look exhausted. Yeah, so I think the exhaustion is partially physical and partially from being having to be attentive. Make sure that this
Mm,
this child is not going to fall down the stairs. Make sure that the child is not going to walk to the wrong place or to bump into a person carrying hot food.
Correct, correct. You cannot take your eyes off the child for a second.
Yeah,
Right, anything can happen.
yeah. So I think that having the ability to take a break is extremely important because I have come across folks who end up single parenting, and it's tough for them because they cannot take a break. And that ability to decompress, I think, is
Mm.
probably is a sanity preserving and health preserving thing. So it's something that really, would I definitely know that we need to take turns. For example, last week, I wanted to take a swim, and then my wife had to had to take care of our boy, and then a few days later, she wanted to exercise. So we went together to exercise, and then we made sure that at least we have two people keeping an eye on him. Sometimes my wife would want to like take a break, have a massage. So I would drop her at the massage place. Then I would bring my boy to walk around at Gardens by the Bay, and then we would kind of like have father son time, or maybe it might be nap time for him, so he might sleep, and I'll carry him in the carrier to sleep. Yeah, so I think overall, that helps to bring a balance. I think my boy is still at an age where he so-called needs mom a little bit more than dad, but at the same time, was trying to gradually increase my presence in his life as a father. And I think that's going to be generally the case. I guess I guess that a father's role would be more increasingly important towards like primary school, secondary school, and older kind of age.
I'm sure by now you have noticed some differences in the parenting styles between you and your wife.
Mhm.
Uh, how do you resolve that?
I think we don't know whether it's a thing to be resolved. My wife, she has a preschool teacher kind of background, and one of the mentors in her life taught her to be very firm with the children. And I think it also runs in her family's parenting style, being firm. So she likes being firm with our boy, which I think it brings discipline. For me, I'm much more like I tend to be very polite and kind to my child. I imagine that I'm practicing gentle parenting. Some people might claim that it is a form of permissive parenting. Hopefully not. But
Yeah.
basically, if my child crosses a certain line that I don't like, I will definitely change my tone and be more firm and be more willing to bring discipline into the picture. Yeah, so for sure, my wife is the more firm one, and then I'm the more relaxed one. But at the same
Mm.
time, I think that does bring a good mix to it because, I mean, as a child, and I guess I still feel it myself from my parents, even as a grown child. Um, it's like if both of the parents are very disciplinarian, right, then it might kind of like suck the joy out of your life as a child. Yeah, so I feel
Hmm.
that you need to have a mix of both styles. Yeah, so
Yeah,
of course the challenge
correct.
hopefully be to prevent my wife from becoming the bad cop lah. Yeah, so I think it's something that we will
Yeah.
walk through and we will try and see if we can sort that out and to make things better in the future lah.
Yeah, definitely don't play the good cop, bad cop because
Yeah,
I pity the bad cop.
right, right.
Yeah, but I think what we all should be aiming for is to become authoritative parents, and that's one of the big subjects I cover in the parenting workshop I conduct. It's important to understand like a few things like what's the difference between being firm and strict,
Okay, okay,
and then also what authoritative parenting really looks like,
okay,
and
okay,
about understanding what's the purpose of discipline.
okay.
Um,
Yeah.
a lot of people ask about what's the best method, right? But I first start by explaining to them what's the purpose of discipline,
Mm-hmm.
what's the
Yeah.
science behind it. Then
Okay.
when you understand that, then you know what methods work. You have shown me some things about your son. Maybe you'd like to share it with the other ordinary fathers,
Okay.
something that your son is able to do from a very young age.
Or maybe I'll share some further context about me and my wife. So we both play music in church. I play guitar, and my wife sings. I can sing decently also. So basically, we were kind of like musical parents. Yeah, so we were able to guide our boy to appreciate music. So we started him with um, I guess if you want to go way back, because my wife is a preschool music and movement teacher. She even when she was carrying him in the womb, she was singing to other kids and playing ukulele to them. Yeah, so when he was born, we would always sing and pat him, and then of course we would pat rhythmically, pat to the beat of the song. In eventually, when he grew to be a toddler, he started to notice that in church, there are people playing drums during like the praise and worship music session. Yeah, so he was very in awe of the drummers in church. Yeah, so he would be very, very interested to listen to what they're playing and to talk to them and to say hi. Yeah, so eventually we got our boy to try out drums, and then today he's able to, at the age of 2 years 6 months, he's actually pretty decent at playing the drums. Okay, so I'll try and show you some examples. 进来
How old is he at this point?
2 years and 5 months. Open eye. Yes. Yeah, I heard it. I heard the control that you're having. Actually, we didn't start him with digital drums. We scaffolded him slowly. So I'll just
Mm.
show you one more example of him at 2 years and 4 months. Nice.
So he's playing the drums to follow a song that he probably has heard many times, right?
Yes, it's true.
Okay.
Correct, correct.
Wow.
So these are songs that he's become familiar with. Yeah. So let me show you how we kind of started him. So he
So has
started
he ever attended taken any drum classes?
uh one or two, one or two. But the truth is that we have been guiding him. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, so he started with much more basic kind of drums. These are just toy drums with some extra tinkling sounds on the side. And then you notice that he started with two hands both doing the same action. Okay, so we
Mm.
call that um, single hand coordination, one hand coordination. And then later on, somebody gave him plastic upright drums. Okay, so the plastic upright drums look like this. So when I say scaffolding, it's like building him up from a basic
Mm.
instrument to a more advanced instrument where he can kind of like appreciate the steps that he's taking. Yeah. So again, you can see the single hand coordination. Okay, eventually we let him do a little bit of jamming in church. Okay, so this is what he did in coordinated. You see how Jake is getting very coordinated with his drums. He's playing like on the tempo with one hand. Can you play, Jakey? Playing tempo with one hand and the accent, like the one on the other hand. Yeah. Okay, so that's something like it's like you let him experiment with different drum sets, and then he got better and better, more and more inspired. Okay, so eventually the plastic drums broke at home, and then we upgraded him to a metal drum kit, which was very loud. Okay, so thanks to my neighbors for understanding for those moments.
Yeah, were there any complaints?
I mean, my neighbors did ask me, what's that sound, which is not a complaint, but in a way,
Mm.
it's kind of like telling us that it's a bit loud. Okay, so you asked whether he attended classes. So my cousin-in-law, his name is Joel. You can, yeah, he runs a drum teaching agency, so he's a drum teacher. He has
Mm-hmm.
a drum teaching studio at home. So you can see there's one drum set here and then another drum set here. So during this session with my cousin-in-law, we started to notice that our boy started to have three-way coordination. So he went from one-way coordination, both hands together, to one, two, one, two. And then three-way coordination is with the right foot, being able to play the kick drum a bit. Yeah, so and also to be able to be exposed to so-called real drum sets that are what he sees, like the actual drummers play was definitely inspiring for him.
Okay, Jake. Jake, you try that beat again. Boom. Chuck. Boom. Yeah, you follow mama.
Yeah, so that's kind of like his steps towards graduating towards this point. Yeah, eventually, and then here again is another session with my cousin-in-law. Yeah, so basically having fun
Okay.
with
Wow.
music and
That's
being able
amazing.
to play songs that he's familiar with. We let him listen to grown-up music, not just children's music. Yeah, so that I think broadens his exposure to different genres and has led
Mm.
to him being able to even jam. Yeah, so like these days
Mm-hmm.
I'll play guitar and then he'll be on the drums. And in some cases we're able to jam without backing tracks, without like YouTube or Spotify.
Mm.
So that those are the most gratifying. It's like we have added a member to our band and like now we can jam. Yeah, so it's very very nice. I play guitar, then he will play drums, and then I'll sing.
Mm. Hey, thank you for sharing that. I think that's amazing. I wish I could do half of what your boy is able to do today.
No worries. I'm sure,
I
sure it can be
cannot
done.
coordinate. Yeah, I think I'm still with the one single hand coordination.
Okay, that's
All
always a good
right.
place to start. That's a good place to start. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, now I want to give you a chance to ask me a question if you have one.
Okay, okay. Okay. Since you mentioned about authoritative parenting style, and how do you and I think you kind of alluded to what is the purpose of discipline? Yeah, so maybe you can share a little bit, what are those two, like what's authoritative parenting style? What is the core purpose of discipline? Yeah.
Okay, I think to explain it in the form of compare and contrast, right? So I want to compare and contrast it with authoritarian parenting. So
Okay.
authoritarian parenting, basically, they act like dictators, right? And the very common phrase you hear from authoritarian parents is "do it because I said so."
Yeah.
Right? So there's no explanation, and if you do not obey their rules, you get punished. No excuses and things like that. In terms of demandingness, right? Authoritarian parents are very high. They expect a lot. They have very high standards for their children. What they lack, however, is that responsiveness. That means they are not empathetic, they are not open to discussion or even listening to the child and letting the child, share what they think or what they feel. Now, authoritative parents have been misunderstood quite a lot. People think that authoritative parents have lower standards. Well, that's not true. Authoritative parents can have very high standards too, but what they also have at the same time is very high responsiveness. Okay. So that's why I used the term just now, the difference between strict and firm. I would associate strict with authoritarian parents, right? They are strict, as we say, right? Strictly by the book, strictly speaking, So they are very strict, okay? You know the rules, you broke the rules, and therefore I have to punish you, right? Now that's strict. Now, firm is different. Firm, there are rules. You know the rules. We are not going to change the rules, but tell me why you had to break the rules in that case. All right. Tell me why, or tell me what was the context. Help me understand what was your motivation and what were the reasons that caused you to do this and break the rule in the process. So there is this openness to discuss and to give the child a voice, which is very important because what we want to raise our children to be in the future is assertive adults, right? Those who are able to articulate and express what they're thinking and what they're feeling and express it in a way that other people can understand. See? Now, if a child is not given that opportunity to articulate, they will just bottle it up. But as nothing stays inside for forever. It will come out one way or the other. And unfortunately, especially for boys, it comes out in the form of aggression. By the time they hit preteens or teenage, they become very hostile, very aggressive, very angry, and the parents will get a shock and says, what happened to this boy? Why is he always angry? Well, very, very high likely chances that he had all these pent up emotions, right? And he's not able to speak up. And children who are not able to speak up will act out. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So that's one key thing to understand why we want to be authoritative parents. And it doesn't come naturally for most people. Although some people, in terms of their personality, they are quite naturally authoritative parents. Okay. But for some with different kinds of personality traits, they will have to work a little bit harder, okay, and understand what being authoritative parent looks like, and then work towards that. So that's why I always remind parents that parenting is not just about us raising children, okay? It's our children raising us as well, in the sense that when we allow ourselves to really get into that role, okay, and be open to learn and have new experiences and learn through them, parenting becomes our personal growth and development program. So in the course of being a parent, we actually become better people, right? We learn to communicate better. We learn to negotiate. We learn to compromise. We learn to empathize. We learn to understand people and things like that. You see, we learn to lead. We learn to lead our children and our family better. So if you see in that light, then parenthood is actually a very, very worthwhile investment of our time, our money, and our emotional heartaches and headaches. Yeah, so I hope that in a nutshell answers your question. I don't want to give away too much, otherwise you won't have to come to at the workshop.
Okay.
All right. Hey, thank you, Josh. I think this has been a very interesting conversation. Thank you for sharing your journey, from the beginning, and then especially the videos about your son playing the drums, which I am thoroughly impressed.
Pleasure.
Okay.
Happy to
Yeah.
share, and
So
thank you for doing what you do. It's really contributing to the community, and helping to raise kids who are probably better settled, and to raise confident children and parents who know what they're doing.
well,
Yeah.
that's my hope and that's my goal.
Okay.